Hey everyone, Joe here, and today we've got a special What's Crackin' because all the way from Offbeat Philly, we've got none other than Fayge. Fayge, pleasure to have you here.
Awesome to be here.
Now, full disclosure, I love Philadelphia. I'm guessing that's where Offbeat Philly is located.
Yes.
Awesome. So far, so good. All right, good. So, what brings you into Offbeat of the Offbeat Philly? What's offbeat about it?
I mean, so I have so Offbeat Philly is a historical events company. So I'm a public historian, and we run events, tours, birthday parties, whatever people want to do, living history. Uh,
Wait, a birthday party? Someone actually goes like, you know what I want for my birthday? A history
we're
tour.
working on selling it, but it's we're going for the princess party market with Victorian tea
Oh,
parties. Yeah,
oh my gosh, I want one.
yeah.
I want
So
one.
yeah, so the original plan had
Right.
been to really focus on tours because I come out of tourism. That's what I've done for a decade.
Smart.
And then, the political situation got a little more complicated. And
There's a political situation
I know, right?
in the United States?
I know nobody's heard of it. It's very, very under the radar.
Under the rug. You have to be really subscribed to news for this one. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so it's a result. There's tourism is down, and so I sort of have been pivoting to focus more on the events. So now we're just sort of doing everything all at once at the same time, and it's chaotic, but it's fun.
Fun and
That didn't
chaotic
answer
just
your
sounds
question
good.
at all. So yeah, Offbeat. The original concept is that compared to other tours in the city, I focus on the lesser known stories.
So not the Rocky statue.
I mean, I'll go take people to the Rocky statue if they want.
That's the only thing I know about Philadelphia right now.
uh, actually was over there recently, but yeah, I don't usually go over there.
So
I'm more of a history person.
weird. This might be a weird question because I might have hallucinated this. I think the Eagles won the Super Bowl this year. I believe that's
Oh
what
my god, I
happened.
don't know. Yes, I think they did.
Did that increase your business tourism to see like during that time when people are like there for the Super Bowl, but it's like a 1 day event, so
There were some people,
to
but
see
it's
the whole
it's
thing, yeah.
during the cold time of years, which is our sort of our off season. But
Yes.
we do tend to see people coming in for football games and baseball games. Like there's people who like travel around. They're like deadheads, but for baseball.
Oh, cool.
And so when we have a game in town, usually there's a little bit of an uptick.
That's awesome, and that's amazing. Like, I know the football. Oh my god, I know the Super Bowl wasn't played in Philadelphia, but I was saying like they're watching it live in the bars because,
Yes,
and people probably came there even though they don't live in Philadelphia at all. They probably came there just because of the parade afterwards, stuff like that. So
parade's
when
one
you're
word for it.
yes, there you go.
We do
So
also have a parade in addition to the riot.
it's a two for one. Come for
Yeah,
one, stay for another. It's all good.
yeah.
So, what's the weirdest place you've been for Offbeat Philly? What's the weirdest place?
I don't know, but for Offbeat Philly, because honestly, most of what we do with Offbeat Philly is take normal stuff and make it weird. But actually, here's a good the we have a tour that's my favorite thing right now, which is called Philly's Forgotten Dead, and we go around Old City Philadelphia, which is where like
Really?
Independence Hall, Declaration of Independence, all that stuff happened, and we basically stand like in the middle of random sidewalks, and I talk about how there's very likely dead bodies under our feet, and the story of that community that buried their dead there that is now underneath concrete.
Wait, that community being mafia community or like a
No,
different
no, like
community?
church communities. Like the
Oh,
one that's in the
okay,
middle
I
of
was
the
like,
sidewalk is Seventh Day Baptist.
okay, I thought it was like more like they lost him in the concrete building.
No, that's Jersey.
Okay, I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, that's really dark of you. Like,
No, no, no.
yeah,
I,
this
I
is
mean, I mean, there is the perpetual question of where Jimmy Hoffa is, but
yeah, like, Jimmy Fingers was here.
but no, these are just you know churches had a churchyard and then they sold the land and
Oh,
moved the bodies for whatever reason. I first got interested in it
right.
because a couple before the pandemic, like in 2017, I think that might be wrong. I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's around that time.
yeah.
Uh, a developer started digging to build condos, and they were going to add this very deep parking structure to it because there's no parking in Old City. And when they, put the augers in and took them out, there were like human skulls and stuff.
Uh,
And it's a bit of a long story, but where it ended up is some archaeologists volunteered their time and they were given 1 week to dig up as much as they could.
1 week.
And uh, the development is there. They only got about 10% of the cemetery, but the cemetery had what had happened was in the 19th century,
Yeah.
the church had paid somebody to move the cemetery, and then they just
They
didn't.
moved it. They moved it all right.
Yeah,
They moved the
yeah. So
money
there's
from
like
their account to
3,000
their
bodies
account.
there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So in one of these houses, is there a small little blonde girl whose TV comes on? Because I think I heard this story before.
you can tell I'm actually not a horror fan. So I'm like, what? Oh, right, that's a thing.
Poltergeist, yeah. No, okay, I was like, I'm thinking like, what did they do? Okay, you said they gave them a week for the archaeologists. So after that week, is just kind of like back holes just go bye, just take the bodies and dump them somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, what's left what's left of the bodies is very delicate because this is from the 18th century. So just the process of like the augers and the backhoes and
They're just
stuff.
going to destroy most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's mostly probably in some fill dirt under I-95 somewhere or over in Jersey. Um, and the developer didn't have. The thing is, the developer didn't have to do it. Like it's easy to be kind of down on the developer, and trust me, I am there. I am there
It's being
too.
nice. They're like, I'll give you a week. It's nice.
But like legally, they didn't have to do
Yeah.
anything. Like once the police said that they had no interest, that
Oh,
was
yeah. The
yeah.
bodies have been dead for like forever. And
Yeah, there's it's about I believe 70 years is the mark when they become historical instead of like potential murder scenes. So
my gosh. And we do laugh about this, but you're right. I laughed at like, they give him a whole week. Oh, wow. But actually, 1 week of holding up development is a lot. Like he's losing
yeah,
money on that week.
yeah, and he
And yeah.
also so that they could move as quickly as they could, he took all the graves that they dug up and put them in containers and just stored them
Wow.
until they were done. Now one of the containers went missing. So that's another pile of bodies someone's gonna find in 50 years. But
I hate to see my eBay auction now. Hey, it's a surprise box. What's this one? Oh,
yeah, all the other bodies that were dug up at that time have now been reinterred at Mount Moriah Cemetery in West Philadelphia, where they were supposed to be in the first place.
right. No, that is, I see now the offbeat because normal, just a sidewalk. The offbeat about it is like oh my God, what just happened here?
Right. And all old cities have this. Like old cities and dead bodies are just like go together.
I'm thinking of all the old cities I went to. I'm like, oh my God, you're probably
Yeah.
right.
Because what happens is people very well, there's been a lot of
Right.
over time there's been a lot of changes in opinions about whether or not it's safe to live near a gravesite because grave sites originally were in like the center of the city because churches were a lot of times the first institutions
Major
to
thing there.
be there.
Yeah.
And then so as the city grows, generally the more wealthy people move to the edges because once you have electric trolleys and stuff, they can
And cars, once the cars come by, especially the suburb
eventually,
city.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that's even more so, yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking like 19th century and the yeah, and they so it was mostly poor people and they noticed poor people were getting sick more often than wealthy people. And the reason for that is they were living in slums with like human excrement in the streets. But they thought maybe it
Yes.
might be because they were living near dead bodies. So a lot of the cemeteries were moved. But contractors are contractors. Just, sometimes they take your money and don't do what they say they're going to do in whatever year it
Oh,
is. So,
absolutely. It's a perfect storm of we've all known places where the church just kept reusing graves. Just kept
oh, that's
reusing them.
totally normal. Yeah, I mean they do that in Arlington.
Knock on wood.
It's marked. It's not like a secret. Like
Oh, wait, have you been to Arlington before? Because I've
Arlington
been.
National Cemetery. Yeah.
It's huge. It's
Oh yeah.
absolutely freaking huge. It's
Oh,
like
it's
it's
so big,
mind-boggling. It should not be this big. If you ever like really want to do an anti-war
and it's
statement, go to Arlington.
like it's not like the only like we have military cemeteries all over the
Right.
city, all over the city, all over the
The,
country
the
and the
country, yeah.
world. Like there's one in France, I think. might have that
Oh,
wrong.
I've
But
seen
just
the
from
unannounced.
World Wars, we'll have wherever we bought, we'll have little military cemeteries. But yeah, no, I've been to Arlington. The offbeat thing, I guess, about Arlington is it got its start as a plantation owned by Robert E. Lee,
Of
um,
course it would.
Confederate general, and one of
I
his
missed that
buddies.
part of the tour.
Huh?
I think I missed that part of the tour when I was there. It's like, by the way, this is where the plantation slaves lived.
No, they
What?
still have the house. Like if you climb up there, like they'll tell you it's not. But it is not the main focus of the place.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and what ended up happening was like a school friend of Robert E. Lee was like really mad that Robert E. Lee had gone towards the Confederacy instead of the Union, and so he started burying Union dead in his wife's rose garden.
That's
And
how it started?
yeah,
Oh my god. That's brilliant. I didn't know, honest to God, didn't know that.
yeah, it's
That's amazing.
wild and big legal battle once the war was over. Um, and eventually the government bought it from the family for not very much money because at that point we've been using it as a military cemetery for so long that like what was he going to do with
Yeah, it's
it?
like, we already buried everyone there anyways, you know? So you correct me if I'm wrong, that's in Virginia, not Philadelphia,
Yes, yeah. So in tourism in the United States, there's a couple of like things that when they happen, like all the tour guides flock there because there's a lot of work. And one of those
right?
is Washington D.C. in the spring because there's a lot of school groups send their eighth grade class to
Of
Washington
course.
D.C.
It's close
And I
enough,
don't
yeah.
do that anymore. But that was how I got started in tourism.
That's
And
very
even
cool.
though I'm in Philly, I was considered local because I could take the train. You know, like it
Yeah.
wasn't like there were people coming in from like Colorado and stuff to do the season.
Wow. No, like I was saying, you're close enough to kind of make it not quite a commute, but it was decent probably.
Yeah, I mean they get me hotel room, but yeah, it's not a bit. It's like 2.5, 3 hours depending.
Yeah. And on a train, those trains are actually well, okay. The last time I did
I
one of
mean,
those trains was like 2000, no, 1990, you know,
they're the same cars.
they were probably there was a decent when I used them, but they're probably the same okay, yeah, they're the same thing now?
It's a
Yeah,
little
it's
rough, but I have a great love for our attempted train system here in the United States. Actually, taking it at the end of July to go to Atlanta,
really?
which takes overnight.
Oh, wow.
With train travel in the United States outside the Northeast corridor. Northeast corridor runs the way it should. Anywhere else, you just have to accept that you're going to get there when you get there, and just enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I'm from Vegas, and our high-speed bullet train from Vegas to Los Angeles has been promised for the last 25 years.
Yeah,
One
that's
day.
the only one.
One day. It's not even LA, we're just like Bakerfield. Just get us to Bakerfield. Just get us halfway there. But yeah, you're right. It's like the infrastructure and trains used to run the West, and now it's kind of like, you know,
I mean, it built the West,
yeah,
such as
really.
the
So
the
you,
current iteration of the West. I suppose would be the correct way to say that.
when you're doing this in Philadelphia, have you ever gotten an offbeat, no pun intended, well, maybe I guess nowadays, ever get an offbeat request? Like you just didn't expect this as like, why would you even want, what was that like?
I mean, yes. The one that just came to mind. I have a tour on Thursday. That's for just a private person who contracted me, but
Cool.
it's he wanted to mix together two of my tours. So I have one that's the America's Most Historic Square Mile. I call it the uh, that broken bell and other colonial nonsense.
Right.
And then there's another one that is way more specialized. It's about the first Jewish Commodore of the Navy, and that's because the Navy's birthday is
Oh,
this
wow.
year, and so there's going to be a bunch of people coming to celebrate that. And this individual from their website, it was very clear to me that they were Jewish from a rather Orthodox community. And so I didn't think it was that weird. I'm like, sure, of course he would want to put these together, see like the big things like Liberty Bell and then also learn some Jewish history in Philadelphia. But then I talked to him on the phone. He's adorable. He's great. He, in fact, is on his way out of that very insular community and wanted to learn history, but also wanted to like have those like whatever those quintessential Philly experiences were. And he said, well, I always like to go get food. And this is a very, I am also Jewish, so very fraught in Judaism. Like,
Right.
what can and can't you eat? There's a lot of debate about it. And blah, blah, blah. But he came from a community where it's very, very, very strict. Like, you don't even eat somewhere where there is not kosher food, even if you're not eating the not kosher food. Like, it's just it being there is too much. And so I'm sitting here thinking, Philly's known for cheesesteaks.
Yes, I was like,
I know this guy's on his way out, but there's on your way out, and then there's having cheesesteaks, right?
welcome to
It's
my
not
land.
quite as bad as like shrimp cocktail, but like it's getting there. And so he said, is Philly known for anything? This is how insular his community is. He doesn't know this.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, I mean, cheesesteaks.
It's
And he
literally
said,
named after it. Yeah.
yeah. And he goes, perfect. And so I'm really looking forward. I think that tour is going to be wild in ways I cannot predict.
Oh,
And
I
those
love
are my
that.
favorite offbeat things, is they usually happen on the fly, and that's what I love about it. Because honestly, when it goes the way it's supposed to, it gets really boring.
No, and then that's the greatest thing when you're doing a tour group. It's live. It's actually an audience participation
Mm-hmm.
moment. It's the interaction, the mixing of betweens of it, right?
Oh yeah.
And I have to ask now. I have to follow up because I can't get a good feel. Okay, I've had great Philly cheesecakes in Philadelphia. Outside of Philadelphia, most people go to Subway and order that and like, "Oh, give me the Philly." I said cheesesteak. Wow. I'm just thinking
That
of 2
happens
things at
all the
once.
time.
I just combine
I've
them
had
together.
people argue with me about it. They're like, "No, it's cheesecake," and I'm like, "Listen, you can go find a cheesecake, but it's not
That's
going to be particularly special."
New York cheesecake, Philly cheesesteak. Come on, man. Get them together. So what is it? Does it bug you? What goes in the best Philly cheesesteak? Besides, obviously, because everyone else thinks, the Subway version is the only version, and that's, of
Yeah,
course,
well,
like saying McDonald's is a burger.
it's like, God, if you're going to Subway, at least go to like, I don't know,
Yeah,
like Mike's or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
but
Taco Bell's not a
um,
taco, guys.
so the thing that makes the Philly
Yes,
cheesesteak
I need to know
is
this.
the bread, and it's an Italian style roll that is sort of structurally has enough structural integrity to hold this like floppy mess,
Yeah,
but isn't so hard that like you're crunching.
yeah,
Um, and the traditional place to get these is Amoroso's, which used to be in West Philadelphia. Now it's in Jersey, but every morning hundreds of trucks, I'm sure, leave Amoroso's to go to all the various restaurants in the area. There is a little bit. So sometime during the pandemic, someone decided that you needed sesame seeds on the rolls, which has never been
what?
the case.
Really?
And all these places are using these sesame seed rolls. And I don't know if it's like a supply chain issue. Like, I don't, but everybody's just acting like that's normal. And I'm like, this is not normal. I saw
This
somebody
is
talk about it
not.
on TikTok, and I was like, yeah, they are doing that. It's
Yeah,
like,
no,
they're like,
that's the first time I heard it. It must be post-pandemic, you're right. Maybe it was because with the Big Mac buns issue they had during the pandemic, they decided, like, overproduce Sesame Streets, and they like to get them away.
maybe, and get them cheaper or whatever.
Yeah, it's
But
like, "We give these away."
the bread is what makes it, and the steak and the cheese. People get really up in arms about cheese. Whatever, get whatever cheese you like. Like, have a good time. The traditional, they used to say cheese whiz. Now it's,
I was gonna say Cheese Whiz. It's a
yeah,
spray
that's,
can.
well, it's like a can,
The
like a
dip can, yeah,
jug,
the dip can,
like it's like
yeah.
a jug of cheese. But it's
Got
it's
cheese.
totally normal also to have American cheese. I'm more of an American cheese than a cheese whiz, which has it's more, it's the same thing, just different structure.
Yeah, one's a little more gelatinous.
Yeah, and then there's provolone. It's a totally reasonable thing to get.
Now, onions and peppers or no?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and
I
you're
mean, I
right on
love.
that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm very cheesesteak like uh neutral in a lot of ways. Like, I figure, like, if you like it and it is got cheese and some sort of meat and a roll, like, have a great time.
I want some Doritos with mine, just, like, crunch it inside, but little
I mean,
I don't know. I'm weird.
listen,
I'm
do
weird that way,
whatever.
man. I'm
Like,
weird.
there's a place in my neighborhood that sells vegan cheesesteaks that have like broccolini on it and stuff, and it's delicious.
Is it?
Um, it's so good. But
Okay.
they use seitan. Seitan is
Oh yeah, it's
Anything else
the
besides
gluten off
seitan does
the
not work. Yeah,
yeah.
but that said, there are limits. I had somebody on tour once who came and said, "I got a cheesesteak," and I was like, "Cool, what'd you get on it?" Because we'd had this whole conversation, and he goes, "It's because it's chicken with barbecue sauce," and I'm like,
Huh?
"Okay, that's not a." I'm very like live let live with the cheesesteaks, but
A
that's not a
hoagie at
cheesesteak.
best. Yeah, like,
It is
no, that's just like a sandwich, man.
that's a hoagie. Like
Yeah, at best, it's a hoagie, man, at best.
like at a certain point, it's not a cheesesteak anymore.
I
You
got one with cottage
remove too
cheese.
many of the things that make it a cheesesteak.
Yeah. Oh my god. So, full disclosure, it's 10 let's me 12:30 my time. Did you think about you're talking about cheesecake this early in your day? You think I'm gonna go on a podcast. We're talking about cheesecake.
Cheesesteak.
Oh, cheesesteak. My gosh.
You're not alone.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm just dumb. That's what it is. Now, I think you're right though. That A is a hoagie. B, there is a wide variety, and now I do want to try the vegan one. I'm turning vegetarian, so I might as well try that. So, walk me through what is your best tour? You used to have tour packages. What are your best tour packages?
That I have like on offer right now,
Yep.
or yeah. So if for people who are just like I'm in Philly, I want to do the Philly thing.
All right.
That's the Broken Bell and Other Fun Nonsense tour. You're gonna see all of the big stuff. You're gonna see Independence Hall, Betsy Ross House, the Liberty Bell, etc., etc. But you're gonna get it from another perspective, and you don't have to be like really like knowledgeable about American history to get it. It's all woven in. Like I just had
Nice.
somebody from Taiwan the other day, and they didn't know hardly any American history, but they still like they loved it. And so that's the sort of most standard one. But I have to put a little another thing for the Phillies Forgotten Dead because I love that tour. I had so much fun writing it, and it's always fun to give it because you're standing in the middle of the sidewalk and people are walking by like, what is that tour doing? Like,
Why are there dead people here?
why are they in the middle of the sidewalk? Our Independence Hall's over there, guys. Um,
Oh, right next to the bell. There's the bell.
yeah,
The
but we're
Rocky
in the
statues.
process of adding things. We have an event coming up in on the 18th of July at a new coffee shop in Old Kensington called Bubs, and it's going to be roasting the founding fathers. So that'll be fun.
I dig it. Nice pun. Now, how do you write these? I'm guessing you have to write the tour. You have to get the idea, then you have to write the tour itself. What's your process for this?
So if when it's just me giving it,
Right.
I actually no. Regardless, it's if it's not just my general tour, which that one I've just given the tour so many times that it was just I just wrote it down. But for a brand new tour, it starts with a lot of research. And because a lot of times I've learned over the years that there's a lot of stuff that I think I know that isn't always actually true because tour guides are notorious for telling stories that they genuinely think are true and are not. And so over the years, I've picked things up from people, or as a kid, I went
Yeah.
and saw the thing, you know. And so it's a lot of research to make sure everything I think I know is actually accurate. And also just like there tends to be some serendipity to it sometimes. Sometimes, like I was researching a neighborhood and I came across a quote from the guy who gave a eulogy at Benjamin Franklin's funeral about how much he hated Ben Franklin. And so that's now part of the other tour. But once I feel like I've got a concept of the topic, then I sit down with a map and I just sit there drawing
Oh,
dots
cool.
and I do it on Google Maps now, but it's like a lot of like, oh, that's too far. Oh, that's a 20-minute walk. No, can't do that. That's cut.
Like mapping it out. Oh my god, I never thought about that. You have to actually have to map out how long it takes people to walk and factor
Yeah,
that in.
and in total, the amount of walking total. So I have
Right.
found that going over a mile and a half is just pushing it.
Yeah.
Even a mile and a half is pushing it, depending on the group.
Wow. That's really cool. Where'd you this might be a dumb question, but where'd you learn how to do that? Is it through tourism?
Yeah, so how I really learned how to do it was
Yeah.
doing these student tours because we didn't write them. These are these massive like I worked for like the Walmart of student tours. Now let people who are teachers guess which of those I worked for, but um, but we would get a itinerary written by someone who may or may not know the city of Washington D.C.
Oh God.
And they have little things in their little guidelines that are like, it takes this much. They'll go into Google Maps and be like, okay, it takes 10 minutes to get from the White House to the Capitol, but that's not always actually how it works.
If you teleport.
And
Yeah.
the, I mean, it could go in the middle of the night.
Right. No one there.
Um, and so as the tour director, my job was to make the itinerary work. And so a lot of times there's a lot of puzzle pieces of looking at it. Actually, like a friend of mine actually just contacted me for a Philly one, and I took a quick look at it, and I was like, why are they having you spend 3 hours at the Rocky Steps? Like, that's not, no. And so knowing that, say,
Yeah.
okay, well, we'll just add in Logan Circle, or we'll just flip these around so you do this in the morning and this in the afternoon, or while at the same time there's always things that can't move, and so like moving everything around. So you do that on the fly as a tour director. So doing it ahead of time and actually sitting down and like clicking stuff like it's much easier because you can figure out what truly is the most efficient way to do it.
That's pretty cool. So you basically were battle tested on and I won't name any companies that I might know of, but the ones that say you get paid by tips and that's it. Is that one of the
No,
things?
they
You
paid
actually
us.
get paid? Okay.
You
Like,
do get tips, especially with student tours because the expectation of tips with student tours is minimal
right.
because usually it's like a teach kids that tipping is a thing, and so you end up with like a bag of the
Here's
loose
some
change.
donut
Yeah.
powder.
No, you get paid for student tours. Adult tours, you get paid a low. It's kind of like sales. Like you get like a
Okay.
low base,
A low
and then
wage, and then they assume you're gonna make a tip to make it up. And hopefully you
tips
do,
and
otherwise you're paying taxes on what they assume.
tips, and or if it's a really like low end company. I don't mean that like in a value judgment. It's just the cheaper companies. It might also be selling um, like extra things you could do. So like maybe a tour like mine. Like this is the thing
Right.
that's some companies do where the tour director can sell my tour for X number of dollars over what I'm charging them. And then they keep part of that.
That's the weird world of tourism. It really unlocks a lot because a lot of people just go on a tour and they think like, wow, this person probably went on a tour once themselves, and then like they memorize some
Some of them
stuff.
are like that.
Yeah. And you've probably seen some yourself, and I've been on some fantastic ones, and I've been on somewhere I'm like, I pay for what now? And has anyone ever asked you the question that you're like, I cannot answer this?
Oh yeah, all the time.
How do you
Like
handle that?
it depends on what the question is. So if it's like what date did that happen, I'll say what I think is true, and then I'll take out my phone and Google it. And this is controversial, but I am of the opinion. I have dyscalculia, so dates just like they don't stay in
Right.
years. So I've got like the big ones, 1776, 1780, like but like if you ask me like when exactly Ben Franklin came back from London, I don't know, man. Like like I can give you maybe a decade that's right. And I figure you should use all the resources you have.
Absolutely.
And if the fact that you're taking out your phone and doing a quick Google search for a date, or if a guest does it, makes it so that people don't like your tour anymore, you're probably doing something wrong because you shouldn't be just walking Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Like you're
It's
supposed to be like doing interpretation or telling a story and performing it. There's a lot of stuff you do,
it's performance
and
art.
like if you're just spitting out dates and whatever, like your tour is boring.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm thinking of one. Actually, I'm thinking of one from Oxford, and he was a theater major, and it
Oh
showed.
yeah,
It showed. I
theater
have
people are
0.
great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all BS. Like, really? And he would even give a little wink when he's saying some stuff. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, no, that's BS." But the way he said it, the way he presented it, you didn't care. It was a story. And
Oh yeah,
remember parts of it. You remember the highlights, and that's what you do.
yeah, and I mean, it's like I'm not a huge fan of like ghost tours, but I went on one once. It was so good, and part of why it was so good was the tour guide was also an excellent performer, and he actually told all those no-go stories and just did like a normal tour. But my guests, I was a tour director on that. My guests were delighted. They had a great time, which I thought was hysterical because again, this man was like, "That's a ghost story." He told like one ghost story at the end,
Right.
but
But those are
nobody
the best
cared
ones.
because it
Yeah.
was fun.
Those are the best ones. Those are the best factual story-based storytelling instead of like, we have to get all these things. I love it. Now, if I ask my guests always this, if you're gonna give your younger self, which means basically every moment in life besides this one, I'm gonna say younger child to early teens self advice, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. I the advice I would give is to go out and like find information from people who are actually in the field that you're interested in and listen to it. Um, eh, I made a lot of like a lot of career and education choices that did not create a foundation for me to build upon for the things I ended up wanting to do.
Right.
And in retrospect, I wish I had just done what I wanted to do in the first place.
That's an amazing answer. It's the college guidance counselor is almost never right because they only went to school for one thing, college guidance counseling.
Yep.
So how they talk about the rest of the stuff, we don't know. You
Yeah,
know?
like I say to people all the time, people make fun of the humanities in general, but history in particular, as like, oh, what does a history major do? Like they're flipping burgers at McDonald's or whatever. Like us, an English major, like people are
Yeah,
always
I
shitting
was
on us. But
both. Yeah, I know.
the but the thing that people don't realize is there's more to being a humanities person than just like teaching college or like
Yeah,
researching in dusty books. Like there's a lot of different jobs that exist in all of these fields. Like I know
absolutely.
history myself, like as a public historian, I didn't know that was a job. Like I loved the History Channel as a kid back when it was, the Hitler Channel / History the Spoon,
Every once in a
before
while,
it became
Jesus.
Alien.
Hitler and Jesus channel, yes. And
Yeah.
Ozzy now. No, Ozzy's got one.
And I obviously knew people had jobs related to that
Right,
because it existed, but like I didn't really understand that there was more than just the History Channel. That like
right.
there's all these things that people who are historians can do that are related. And it's weird things too. Like usually this is archaeologists, but historians get involved with this too. Like anytime like a new highway goes in,
Yeah,
you have to do research on is there something potentially under the ground, which is a historian's job. And then archaeologists go in and see if they're right. um
that's amazing. So it's almost like city planning,
yeah. I mean,
really.
there's just tons and tons and tons of stuff that you need a historian for. And it's not as high paying as being like, I don't know. I don't know what the high paying job is now anymore, to be honest. Back in the day, we would have said computer programming, but that
Yeah,
ain't it
I was
anymore.
say it's no longer that. It is what was the joke? We told everyone to go coding camp? Yeah, don't go to coding camp anymore, kids.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Um, but at any rate, there are jobs.
Yeah.
It's not just the joke about flipping burgers.
No, find
There's
your
anything wrong
passion.
with that.
I think you're
Yeah.
right. Find your passion and research your passion with the people that are in your passion, not the one who are naysaying the passion.
Or even there may be people that aren't naysaying, they just don't know.
Just don't know it.
Like,
Yeah, they could mean well, but just don't know enough.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, what are you doing next? What's the next biggest thing for Offbeat Philly?
So we're starting to do events, which I'm kind of in the middle. But like
Awesome.
the future
Yes.
is I want to create. I didn't call it educational books. It sounds boring. I'll come up with a better word for it than that. But just sort of activity books and stuff for adults
Cool.
that also teach history. So like I made one page the other day because it was just in my head and I had to
Yeah.
get it of the time that Ben Franklin was getting canoodling with his landlady, and this is in London, and Peel, I always forget his first name, but he's an artist. He's the artist. Like if you think of like founding father
Yeah.
image,
It's all them.
and that's him. Whatever you thought of, that's him. And he was a student at the time, and I guess just walked in. And I don't know who does that, but he does apparently. He just walks in, and Ben Franklin's like having a good time. And instead of doing what normal people would do, which is leave, he sat down and sketched it.
It was like I was like, he started sketching it. Of course, he
Yeah,
would.
yeah. So that page is a an interpretate a coloring book style
Oh
interpretation
God, I
of
love
that.
it. It's amazing.
And so stuff like that where it's like weird little stories that also
Yeah,
have coloring or like Sudoku or whatever, those things.
but that's great, and this was really needed. It's a way to get people interested in learning.
Yeah, and also like I'm finding I've started coloring again, and it's
Yeah,
so much better than doom scrolling. Like
yeah.
I try to do if I am gonna like scroll TikTok or something, I just reach for my coloring book instead,
Yeah,
and
no,
it's
it's good therapy.
been great. Yeah.
It really is. It really, really is. It's the artistic mind saying thank you for a bit. Now, where can we find you in Offbeat Philly?
The easiest place is probably my website, which is offbeatphilly.com.
Makes sense.
Yep. And I'm in the middle of revamping that, but on there you can sign up for like I call it the monthly newsletter. It comes monthly or less. I I'm aiming for monthly. It's not
Right.
you're never gonna get the every other day email from me.
No
Counting time
spam.
to
We promise. No spam here.
no spam.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, you might get an email.
It might even come on. Yeah.
So you can sign up for the email list and socials and whatever. I'm on Facebook and Instagram for whatever that's worth.
Well, that's
And
awesome.
yeah,
That's awesome. And you know what? I have to say, I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I learned about places I've been to. I learned about places I've been to and I knew about, but I didn't know particular things that you told me. And that's just in our 30-minute chat. So I can't imagine how great your tours are because if I have a degree, I have actually degrees in like political science in this stuff. And I'm like, my God, I didn't know that. Like, am I a slacker? I'm like, what the hell?
it's all perspective. Like it's not. I mean, yeah, knowing the little tidbits is very helpful in those things. But like I have a guide who works for me who's an actor, and they don't know all the like minutia,
Right.
but they present the tour as I wrote it, where it just sort of it has to do with the perspective that you're taking um, on the stories.
Well, you know what? Next time I'm in Philadelphia, I was just there last week and I should have contacted you first. I will definitely take an Offbeat Philly tour. And if you want to take a tour as well, go to Offbeat Philly. That's Philly, like Philadelphia. Don't spell like I
Philly, yeah.
.com. And Fega, thank you so much for your time. It's been brilliant chatting with you. Again, I learned, and it's an amazing thing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for having me.